Hi, my name is Kyle, and I am challenging Doug Demuro to come here and do a DougScore on my 2012 Volvo S60 T6 model. The first things up under the DougScore is styling, and I'm going to take you on a quick tour of the styling of this vehicle. This vehicle is still currently being made. They started production in 2010 and are still making the same body styling in 2017. This vehicle, for instance, that I love about it is the light effect that we have up front. The shoulder lines of this vehicle are very slick and proper, and what really sets this car apart is the rear. It has a dual exhaust with a V6 turbo, which I'll get into later. And of course I added my own touches of painted mud flaps, rear window spoiler, and a trunk spoiler. These also allow the car to have some styling that's unique. Of course, inside this vehicle is filled with leather, and I know, Doug, you love leather. And for a vehicle that started at MSRP of just $44,000 and today has a value of around $17,000 with 40,000 miles on it, leather is what this car smells like. And the styling of this two-tone interior, in my humble opinion, is just absolutely gorgeous. So this being said, I am going to give styling a number 7 on the DougScore. Next up, we're going to talk about the acceleration. And let me just get into the car and show you what this acceleration is like so you can hear it, feel it, and understand. This vehicle has, like I said earlier, and I'll show it to you right now, a V6 turbocharged engine producing 300 horsepower and 325 foot-pounds of torque. This engine is freaking massive, and I love it. It's so much better than the competitors. There's only one issue that I can point out, and this will come into performance factor, is if you go and you look at the line of the front here, where the struts are, the engine sits a little bit ahead of that, which obviously affects some of the understeer, but overall, this vehicle performs amazingly. So let me go and show you about acceleration. Just so you know right now, this car, according to DougScore, is going to receive a number 4 because it does 0 to 60 in just 5.6 seconds. Okay, so we are back in the 2012 Volvo S60, and I'm going to just demonstrate to you first the acceleration, and the next thing I'm going to demonstrate to you is some of the handling. This vehicle is a luxury sport vehicle, and Volvo did a great job making sure that if you wanted to drive it like a normal human being, it was comfortable and stylish. But if you wanted to get it into sport mode and you wanted to whomp on this thing, it goes. And you know what? That exhaust system, that stock, and this V6 engine sounds amazing. So check this out. Okay, so I'm gonna put this vehicle into sport mode, and I'm gonna come to a complete stop right here and let it rip. And that's 60. Pretty quick. And if you couldn't hear that engine, it just sounds perfect for not being an all-out sports car, but just sporty enough. So given all this, acceleration, we're gonna give it a number 4. And styling, well, stay tuned because I'm about to take you on a road and I'm gonna show you the road and my speed just to show you that this heavy sports car, luxury sports sedan, handles very nicely for what's coming from the factory. So stay tuned for this further DougScore on my 2012 Volvo S60 T6 model. Alright, so Doug's score of handling, I'm going to give this car a number 7, and here's why. This vehicle, I have 18-inch rims, a nice sport luxury suspension, and I'm about to take you on this road and whip it around some turns. With the all-wheel drive system, this vehicle doesn't even flinch. I mean, I can take a turn at 60, 70 miles an hour and just get a slight skid, nothing crazy. Look at this. Nuts. This thing handles the road, it hugs it. You know, it is a little bit heavy and you do feel it, and you feel it in the brakes, but all in all, if you want to whomp on this thing and take it around a turn, it goes, it handles, it doesn't slide. You have confidence in the way this vehicle performs, and that, to me, is important. There's been many cars that I get into that are everyday sedans that you don't feel comfortable taking a turn at 60 miles an hour. Alright? If you want to get off the highway and you want to hit the turn ramp hard, you have to know that this vehicle can do it. And that is really important, you know, and that's why I give this car a very high rating on the handling. So, hope you guys agree. And next up, I'm going to give this car the cool factor. And like I said, it's a Volvo. But keep in mind, Volvo stepped up their game. And even now, with the new technology that Volvo's coming out with in 2017 and next year car models, this car is getting a complete overhaul. The technology and everything that they're doing is super cool. So if you are following me and you are liking this video, make sure you follow Volvo because they're doing an amazing job. They're really stepping up their game. So here we go. I'm gonna give you the cool factor, and just bear with me. I'm just gonna start in the front of this vehicle. We have the xenon factory lights that turn with the steering wheel. Very, very cool. LED lights that are super bright, and in any sunny day this car will turn your head because it is so bright. Doug, this is pretty cool, man. The rear window goes down all the way, and if I want to sit into this car, look how awesome the details are with the leather and the wrapping. This vehicle is really cool, in my opinion. So there it is. I'm going to give you a little bit more of the back. Again, the styling of this vehicle is very sleek. I really do think so, and I think Volvo needs to continue this pattern of design, and they are. They're really refining everything. They're actually enhancing this design to another level, which in my opinion is the right move. So in terms of a cool factor, this vehicle gets a number 6 on the cool factor because, Doug, this car is much cooler than your Range Rover. So next up, importance. And I'm going to be a little biased on this one, but I'm going to run you through a list of why this vehicle is so cool and why Volvo has done so many things to help the car industry improve their technology. So bear with me one second. Starting in 1957, Volvo created the 2-point seatbelt system in the front seats. Following that up in 1958 with seatbelts in the rear seat. They were the first car manufacturer to put seatbelts in the vehicle already in the 1950s. Pretty revolutionary. Next up, in 1965, Volvo refined their car seating, into which medical experts say is the healthiest seat in the car industry because it allows the body to sit in the perfect position for the best posture. This, guys, has created a seat in 2017 that is so freaking comfortable. It is the most comfortable seat you will get in any car unless you're paying $150,000 for a vehicle. And I'm going to say that because it is a bold statement and it is true. No matter what seat you are sitting in a Volvo, you put your head on that headrest and you sit and you can feel it hugging you. It is super cool. And there are sports seats out there in Mercedes that are in the $60,000 range, $70,000 range that are comfortable. But in a $44,000 Volvo, you can get a seat that is so much more comfortable than any car in its class, and any car, like I said, that's under $100,000. And if you don't believe me, Doug, come check it out for yourself. Next up, 1987, Volvo was the first automaker to install fog lights in the front and in the rear of the vehicle, which, as you know today, most car manufacturers have followed suit with. It has added styling, it has added safety features, and has done a lot of things in the car world in terms of engineering. Next up, in the 21st century today, we have Volvo revolutionizing the market with sensors that will detect bikes, people, and cars that stop short. And if you look right here in the front, you will see that Volvo's created the technology that detects and stops the vehicle on a dime so you do not hit anybody in front of you. That is pretty impressive, guys, and all of the car manufacturers have followed suit with the technology, and that technology comes from Volvo. Pretty important stuff. Next up, Volvo created the Alkyl lock system, which detects alcohol in your breath and will not start the car if it detects that you are too drunk to drive. That is pretty cool, guys. That is pretty cool. And there's one more thing that I forgot to mention about how important Volvo has been for the car industry. That they were the first car manufacturer to install a factory airbag in 1987. Yes, that came from Volvo, guys. That is pretty cool. So on the importance factor, I'm giving Volvo a 10. Giving the total tally for the weekend score a number 34. Next up, I'm going to go into the daily driving experience, practicality of the DougScore. Hang tight. So before I go into the features and equipment of this 2012 Volvo, which by the way hasn't changed too much in 2017 models, I'm going to go through one quirk that, Doug, this would piss you off. In order to start this vehicle, you would think that just having the key in the car, in the cup holder, to start the vehicle, you just put your foot on the brake and hit start. Well, guess what? Not in this vehicle. In models before 2013, Volvo has you insert this key, then start the vehicle. Pretty stupid, very quirky. I don't know what Volvo is thinking, but that is probably my biggest complaint of this vehicle. Vehicles in this year model do have the detection system, and they do have other systems that this car does not have, because personally speaking, when I purchased this car, I could have had the fully loaded model, but I prefer this interior much more than a blind spot detection system. So that being said, I'm going to just go through the features and equipment of this vehicle, and just tell you right now, I'm giving it a number 7. Here's why. First things first, you have your radio, satellite, FM, standard equipment. You have your standard equipment in media. You have your disc, USB. Yes, I said disc. You can still insert a disc in this vehicle. You also can hook up your iPad, Bluetooth, and of course, old school auxiliary cord, if you're still using that kind of technology. That being said, back to, value, which I'll get into. We'll hang on tight to that. Of course, you have your telephone, which I left at home, so nobody would bother me while I'm shooting this video. And then, of course, you can go into My Car, which allows you then to see all your settings. You have your traction control system here. This is an all-wheel drive vehicle, so if you're in the snow and you want to have some fun, you just uncheck this and you're good to go. Of course, you have your city safety, which is your detection system that I was telling you about earlier. And then, of course, your active binding lights, which is the bi-xenon lights that turn with the steering wheel, which, guys, is really awesome equipment. If you haven't experienced it, I suggest you try to rent a car through Turo or something and see it for yourself, because if you're driving late at night and you're hitting a bend, especially in these back roads where there's all these deer and whatnot, it allows you to really see and focus on what's going on in the road. After this, you have your trip statistics, and this obviously allows you to see the time that you've been driving, which in this situation has been 20 minutes. I only drove just under 5 miles, and of course, since I've been ripping on it to show you the performance, I'm only getting 12.6 miles a gallon. But on a normal drive, this car is going to get about 20 to 22 miles to the gallon. which I'll get into later, and then obviously the highway driving is much higher. So this is pretty cool equipment, and then everything else is just standard. This is just your basic car. I mean, you have electronic everything. You have a beautiful interface, which some may challenge for your telephone, and of course your steering wheel controls are all very easy to use, and there you go. It's a car. It's basic. It's got its quirks, but it's also got its standard equipment, and giving that a number 7. Next up, luxury. As you can see, this car is filled with leather accents, and for a $44,000 car stock, which now today with 41,000 or just under 41,000 is still valued around 15,000, you're getting a car that has a lot of leather. It smells like leather in here, okay? I don't even bring food in here because I love the smell of the leather. So in terms of luxury, this car is so comfortable. You know, look at this back seat. I mean, you can get 4 adults in this vehicle, no problem. I've done it before, and it's very comfortable. So in terms of luxury and the buttons, you got a leather wrapped steering wheel, you got leather wrapped over here, you got fine touches on all of the controls. You have the rubbery, rubbery plastic feel, which is really comfortable at the touch. And of course your stocks, your turn signal stocks, Doug, I know this is big for you, are very comfortable, and they're perfect. I mean, look at this positioning of the steering wheel and the turn signal stock. It's wonderful. And by the way, Doug, this car also has automatic windshield wipers, which I know is a big thing for you in cars today, especially when you're talking about luxuries and features and equipment. Next up, Volvo was actually one of the first to do a soft touch dashboard all the way back in the 80s. So this vehicle, if you touch the dashboard, it's it's not hard plastic, it's a soft plastic, which is very comfortable. And of course your buttons over here are solid, rubber plastic touch buttons that just feel perfect for what it is. And of course the steering wheel buttons, as soon as you touch it, it feels comfortable. It doesn't feel cheap. There's no plastic moving, there's no plastic crinking around. Look at this. Look how much I have to do in order to make this thing sound like it's creaking plastic. Okay? This car is luxury, and the quality. Luxury is, I'm gonna just finish right here. Luxury, I'm giving it a number 8, and quality, I'm giving it a number 8. This vehicle is amazing in terms of quality. Everything is just done perfectly, and for the price, you're getting a lot. So, luxury 8, quality 8. Next up, practicality. This vehicle, let me just touch my soft touch button for the trunk, very comfortable on the feel, has 12 cubic feet of trunk space. Okay? That is pretty big, guys. I can fit a lot in here. And with an easy backrest release right here, these seats fold down in the back, allowing you, these seats actually go flat, by the way. They go completely flat, which allow you to have a flat section, which is probably roughly doubling the 12 cubic feet to about, I would say, approximately 20 cubic feet. Extremely practical. And this gas mileage and practicality, amazing. But first, let me just show you, I am 5'8". This is where my seat is in terms of my driving position. And look at me. I got head space, I got leg room, and I even have a comfortable armrest. So if I'm chilling in this car on a long ride, very practical, very practical. Gas mileage, very awesome. For a 6-cylinder turbocharged engine that is producing 300 horsepower, 325 foot-pounds of torque, which by the way is perfect amount of torque in a everyday driving car. I mean, I would love to juice this thing up more, but in an everyday drive, that is so amazing to have. I just put in the sport mode in the Tiptronic, and I just let it go, and it is amazing to feel. Your head literally just rocks. It's perfect. You would never expect it in a Volvo T6 in an S60. That's what I'm trying to say. So in terms of practicality, this car is actually amazing. In terms of practicality, gas mileage, like I said, on a city drive is about 21 miles to the gallon. Unless you're ripping on it, you're gonna get 18, but that's okay. And last week when I drove down to Virginia, I averaged 29 miles to the gallon on the way down. Coming home, I sat in 3 hours of Washington, D.C. traffic, which is awful. And then I sat in 2 hours of Philadelphia traffic, which is awful. And then I did my routine up the New Jersey Turnpike, which of course wasn't gas friendly. With all that being said, on my way home on the highway, I was still averaging 26.5 miles to the gallon. That is practical. So, in terms of practicality, I'm giving this a number 6 because there are cars out there that are more practical. But this car, I'm gonna give it a 6. I'm gonna just give it a 6, okay? Number 6. And now value, I'm giving this car an 8. I'm ending this on value because this car is a lot of car for the money. When I purchased this thing 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, I paid $21,000. It had 26,000 miles on it. It was out of a 3-year lease. The Volvo dealer fixed everything. There's not one scratch, there's not one dent on this car. And I paid $21,000. No money down. And I even sold my old Saab, took that cash and ran with it. A lot of value. So, totaling that value to number 8, I'm going to give this vehicle on the daily a 37. Tallying the total DougScore at a 71. That is a pretty high rating, Doug. And I challenge you to reach out to me at kpancis@gmail.com to come up here and do this for yourself. Thank you and have a great day.